go.
Rolling.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1019, Feb 13, 2023. 51 degrees on this day, but you'd have to go back to 1890. And 23 below on this day in 1905.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology
You gotta
Corner,
get CP's
Kenny Olson
Valentine's
from the
cards.
Krabby Coffee Shop,
don't
John
think
Heidt
so.
in the
Oh, yeah.
newsroom, and of course, the
I'm not even want.
Yes.
I don't even want your answer.
Fireworks Commissioner.
Here we go.
And the keeper of common sense.
I don't want it.
Your
You
man.
have to go to the
Joe
drugstore.
Suchere.
You know what I did? I've already made my purchase. I was downstairs.
I told you I didn't want your answer.
I know, but I was downstairs getting my BLT with turkey sandwich that Brian made so deliciously, and then Shelley had Valentine's Day cookies. So
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's. So I
I'm
bought
going to
three.
do something that's uncharacteristic
You're
for
gonna
me.
get a gift for the CP.
No, I'm going to give a shout out to Lizzo.
Oh,
I love me some Lizzo.
Lizzo, I'm going to take a wild guess here, and I have no idea, but whatever it is, I think she gets it.
Yes.
And that
Well, she's a Minnesota
that
gal.
distinguishes her from the rest of these aerobic workout singers.
Oh, yeah.
And she showed me something when she apparently was reached to comment on the fact that some kids at Osseo Middle School or high school or something submitted her name in the snowplow contest to name the snowplow
Blizzo.
instead of Lizzo. And she, unlike many celebrities, I'm being very serious, she allowed herself to be interviewed about that and was funny and was with it. And I thought, well, good for you.
Yeah.
You know, lose some weight. You're going to not live long if you keep this up. But other than that, the other thing, she showed me something at the Grammys. I happened to see the beginning, and she was filmed on the red carpet or what have you, and she had some ridiculous outfit on. But she gave you a face that told you, I know this is completely ridiculous.
Yes.
Completely ridiculous. Speaking of the Grammys,
Wait. Well, number one, why should she lose some weight? She's happy where she's at.
well,
and
because
what
she'll probably
difference
going to
does that
die
make?
at the age of 40.
Well, that's her prerogative.
Fine.
That's her choice.
Fine.
Second, you don't know about the controversy surrounding the selection of this name.
Oh.
A lot of Minnesotans picked Blizzo.
Oh.
The kids got the credit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
controversy.
Yeah.
Was there a prize money
Oh, I'm
associated,
reading.
Kenny?
Wait a minute, I'm reading it here. The Blizzo name was one of the most popular of the 64,000 ballots cast. And but Lizzo went on to say that of all the awards I have received, this is by far the highest honor. To know that there
We
is
don't know that.
no, she continued to know that there is a snowplow with the name Blizzo that is clearing the streets of the Twin Cities right now makes my heart melt or freeze. She said.
I get it.
Please. Do you? I'm sorry. Do you remember back in fall when I thought she was really cool when she played the flute that was owned by James
Yes.
Madison. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
James
she was-
Madison, the president.
Yes, James Madison. She played. They took it out of the archive and let her play.
I
it
did
because
not know that.
She's a trained flute player, and she played this beautiful piece. and
Flautist.
She's a flautist.
She was
That
thrilled.
just sounds dirty.
She
Yeah.
was thrilled to be able
Damn
to
right.
do it and to be that part to play something from our
Dirty.
history. It's, geez, I'm trying to be,
I know,
it's
John.
turned
I'm
into-
trying to pay attention, but surrounded by morons.
Anyway,
Anyway, Lizzo, God
Hey,
love you.
thank you.
Speaking of that, was that halftime last night? Was that the same fat guy in the red suit at the Grammys?
No, see, you're going to get in trouble. That was Rihanna.
Well, it looked like the big fat guy at the Grammys with the red suit on, the devil suit.
No, she is with child.
Who cares?
I did not care
One
for
of
the
the most-
halftime show.
Unmemorable halftime performances of all time.
At least it was really long and boring.
But it's just terrible. She can't dance and she can't sing.
I think we've lost Kenny. He's trying to Google Lizzo playing the flute well, but he can't get through the filter of the Hubbard.
I've got no filter out here in the
So
country.
Lizzo,
That's right.
That's
good
right.
for you, girl. You seem to be seem to have your
seems
head
very
on
cool.
straight.
Yeah,
And you know what? I think she's a good singer, too.
Well, better than this clown last night in the red fat suit.
Remember now, we are so pressed for time in this world that we can't say her name, Rihanna. We have to say Riri.
Oh,
Riri.
Yeah, we are so pressed for time we cannot say
who
Rihanna.
says Riri?
Everybody.
That's her nickname.
And then the game itself was a wonderful game until the non-holding call at the end, which completely erased the game for me. So I don't want to hear about it.
Matthew,
ahead,
are
Chris.
you really outraged that she has a nickname? Come on. I'm not buying your outrage, Matthew. It's Riri. It's a nickname, rookie.
I hate that.
Hey, rookie. Rookie.
Outrage.
It's a nickname,
You know,
rookie.
it's like calling me Rook. You can't say rookie.
Okay. You do get it. All right.
Okay,
But
now
it's one of those things that, why does that bother you?
Well,
Yeah,
it's
Rook.
like that.
I don't care
Yeah.
why it bothers
Like,
him. I'm
I
trying
know.
to do a show here.
I want to know why it bothers
Like
him.
if J-Lo does something, or if she's with
Ben.
it's what is it, J Ben? Benifer. It's all that
Okay.
stuff is so manufactured.
I apologize.
Let me put it
Suge.
this way. I bet Lizzo gets it more than J-Lo gets it.
Whoa,
I agree with you.
She's lucky.
especially on tour.
What did you
She's with Kenny.
What did you have for the Super Bowl entree? What did you make? What
I
did you
had some
prepare?
Yeah,
dry
what did you
roasted
put together?
peanuts
What?
and a salad.
It's kind of uneventful.
That's boring.
Numb.
In honor of Kenny, the Reavers boys made a queso with a giant block of Velveeta.
Kenny, we've got a name for the new state that you're in charge of. It comes from Bert. He wants to call the state Nunya, as in none your business.
I saw that.
None your business. Now, let's. Well, I'm going to get serious. It's hopeless that you idiots will.
Here we go.
No, before I do that, I don't know whether to find this disturbing or. Katie writes, I'm trying to explain AI to you, Joe. Hail the flashlight king.
Hail you.
Not much effort there.
I jumped the gun there, didn't I?
Oh, remember, it's the day after the Super Bowl, so our production's going to be down a little bit today.
Not mine.
Not
As a
mine either.
member of the information technology industry, I felt a pang of pity for you when you mentioned on Thursday's show that it might be time to start understanding AI. It's not a simple concept, but then I decided a fun way to explain it to you would be to use AI to explain AI. A recent fad is an open source platform. Don't make me explain open source, you wouldn't get it. Called ChatGPT. I'm not sure that it has a purpose other than world domination, but it's fun to play around with. I went to ChatGPT and gave it this prompt. Write a 2-paragraph essay explaining artificial intelligence to a 74-year-old male podcast host who sometimes mispronounces words and calls his friends morons. Unfortunately, the explanation was totally boring and not worthy of airtime. Totally boring. However, I'm never one to give up easily. I needed something that would make you laugh and get East Union, Minnesota on the show again. So I instructed ChatGPT with this prompt. Write a poem in iambic pentameter about a podcast hosting crew who are named Joe Souchere, Kenny, Mr. FYI, John Heidt, Reavers, and the Rookie. They talk about common sense, and Joe calls the others dummies and morons. And the output was classic. Here it is for your reading pleasure. A group of hosts, a motley crew with names like Joe and Kenny too, along with John, who's Mr. FYI, and Reavers too, who give no shy. And lastly, there's the rookie one, with common sense their show begun. They talk each week about life and more and how to make sense of what's in store. Joe leads the way with words so wise, but calls the rest dummies and morons in guise. Yet still they gather around the mic with laughter, wit, and endless sight. They keep the listeners on edge with insights on the news they pledge. A crew like theirs so rare to find with humor, facts, and peace of mind. So tune in each week to hear them say the lessons learned in common sense way. It took ChatGPT less than 10 seconds to produce that.
Come on.
I, for one, welcome our new robot overlords, Katie writes, pushing back in East Union, Minnesota. P.S. Not for air. Okay, I won't do that. Let me tell you something. Whatever this thing is, It whipped up that ditty in 10 seconds.
Wow.
How long did it take her to introduce those to it, though? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm taking Katie at her word, and all she did was prompt this device by saying, write a poem in iambic pentameter about a podcast hosting crew who are named, and then she gave them her names.
Okay.
But you've been a big fan of AI for some time.
I don't even know what it is.
Everything's not always going to be peaches and cream.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
But this isn't the first chat GPT exposure I've had. There was another emailer who emailed me and said, here's what happened when I told chat GPT to describe Garage Logic. And it didn't come up with a poem, but it came up with a pretty thorough biography of the show. I don't find this this on the heels of the aliens about to take over. I'm not
I
thrilled
think
with this.
since you love AI so much, you should start using the feature on your phone called voice to text. I think you would enjoy that, where instead of typing out your text, you just talk into it and then leave it to us, the receivers of those texts,
what he was trying to
to
say.
try to figure out what in the hell he is talking about.
Kenny, my wife only uses that. She does not use the manual entry.
Yeah.
And so half the time I'm reading it saying she has no idea.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'd like to continue doing the show. Okay. Your response to this is not nearly what I anticipated. You're not astonished enough. Somebody named Katie in East Union, Minnesota, told Chat GPT, whatever that is, to write a poem about Garage Logic, and it did it in 10 seconds.
Yeah, we were
Quit
impressed.
interrupting me. I'm not done.
20 years ago, we were impressed when it first came out.
Chat GPT did not come out 20 years
this
ago.
is nothing.
However, it did 2 weeks ago at least. I've been reading stories about it for 2 weeks. So
War
it's
Games
not,
in
brand
the early
new.
80s.
Yeah, there
that
you
was
go.
artificial.
I don't understand why we should be surprised about this. Ho hum, yawn.
Let's play a game.
Yeah, I wish one of these aliens would take you away.
Shall we play a game?
I'll back you up, Joe, with Chat GPT because I've been reading more about it. I think we're treading on dangerous territory with things like this.
Aren't kids going to use this to write their papers?
It's
or is that already?
It's far
That's-
greater than that. This is a complete invasion.
This is a takeover.
Well, what do you
First,
think TikTok is? I mean, if you are a
That's
parent
China.
and allow your child to use TikTok, shame on you.
Well, I'm trying to dovetail into. I've said a month ago, if not longer, that this was the year 2023 when we get some breakout news on UFOs, and it's happening. And it's happening basically because none of us can discount at least what Navy pilots report to us. But it struck me over the weekend as we now took down one over Alaska, one over Canada, and one over Lake Huron. And we don't know what they are, and the Pentagon admits that. We don't know what they are. Cylindrical objects in one case with no means of propulsion. It's right out of what I watch on the aliens out of the History Channel. And it struck me over the weekend that given our history with the government and our determination that they live on the third rail, they're separate from us. And we've come to find most of them in disfavor. And to think these are the morons now in charge of trying to not only understand this, but tell us about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about this from Chuck Schumer. Not ready yet.
Okay.
I don't want to hear this from Chuck Schumer or Occasional Cortex or the rest of them. I don't know who I want to hear it from. I guess military pilots who I trust the most.
Instant credibility.
But there is really, really something going on here, and we don't have a clue what's going on. Fortunately, Jean-Claude, what's her last name? Pierre? Jean-Claude, not said her name,
Karine Jean-Pierre.
Karan Jean-Pierre. And honest to God, here we are, once the greatest country in the world. Seriously, once the greatest country in the world, and we all have enumerated the reasons we're in such extraordinary decline. But thankfully, we've got her to explain to us what the hell's going on.
At the same time, we protected against Chinese intelligence collection because we knew exactly where the balloon was going. The military recommended taking the balloon down over water, following the determination by military commanders that there was undue risk of debris causing harm to civilians while the balloon was over land in Alaska, Canada, or the continental United States.
Canada, which has about 2 people per 400 square miles.
There's a longer clip in which Karine Jean-Pierre appeared on MSNBC yesterday and explained the Chinese spy balloon.
All right.
So let me just lay out for the American people. So what happened was, out of an abundance of caution, and by the recommendation by the militaries for President Biden and Prime Minister Trudeau, an unauthorized, unmanned object, as you were mentioning, was taken down in the airwaves in the North America airspace. And so what happened was, it had been monitored by NORAD over the past 24 or more hours. And then what the president decided to do, he authorized the F-22, which is a fighter aircraft, to take it down. It came down in the Canadian territory, so we did it in conjunction with Canada. And so we wanted to, the president took this action. We wanted to make sure that the promise is we're always going to track, we're always going to detect, and we're always going to defend our airspace. And that's what the American people should expect.
Curious question, though.
Okay. I don't want to be reliant on that 5th grader to explain anything to me. And that's what we're stuck with.
Mm-hmm. You know whose opinion I want on it? Hank Johnson.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
Hey, Hank, what do you think of the Chinese spy balloon?
Okay, forget Chinese. We're all in agreement that was a Chinese balloon. What are the other 3? That's where we're in some new...
The one looked like a burning barrel going by.
Right. We're in some new territory here. And whoever these people are, or whatever this is, they seem to be increasing a presence. And we don't know why, and we don't have anybody to rely on when you have to rely on the likes of Jean-Claude Van Damme to try to explain it to you. Yeah. First of all, Jean-Claude, it was over Canada. That wasn't U.S. airspace. I guess it was North American airspace. And Canada shares NORAD planes with the U.S. That's why a U.S. plane did it. Then you have the object over Lake Huron, and Walls is trying to pat himself on the back for pointing out that was a Duluth squadron of the National Guard that was involved in that. That's fine. But we have people who, just as what the hell's her name who got mugged in the elevator? Angie Craig. Just as Angie Craig was exposed to the real world last week, now these people who quite literally are idiots, Biden and AOC and Jean-Claude Van Damme, here's something very real that's happening, and it compounds their idiocy by the fact that A, this is real, and B, they have no means of understanding it or placing it in context. Of course, either do I, to be fair, either do I. But something very real and very interesting is happening, and it's no longer black helicopter, tinfoil hat stuff. This is real. And we have people in charge who just aren't capable of dealing with reality. They've been insulated from it and protected from it. They don't know anything how the world works.
Well, and this is such a bigger issue than I think people realize. We are as vulnerable and as weak as we've been in quite some time.
Or do they know what it was and the threat it poses, and they're playing dumb to keep us from panicking? Because it seems to me like we should be in a full-bore panic right now. We should be shooting at everything that moves at this point.
But I panic
on the ground and in the air. Just bullets everywhere.
I panic on a daily basis with these people.
Right.
These people talking to me about the economy, I panic.
Right.
These are not real people.
You're talking about earthbound issues.
Yeah.
We're talking aliens. They're here.
They're here.
It's over. They're going to run us over. It's done. We're done here.
Should we worry about it, or do we
yes.
just go?
Yes, Matthew.
What are we going to do?
Yes, but you raise an interesting point. We're not worried about it if we is judged by the news gathering institutions, for example. This is still inside page stuff.
Yeah.
This is fourth on the news list on the nightly news. This is not getting anyone's attention.
Because they're idiots. They
They're
don't
idiots.
they don't understand the risk. Matthew, to answer your question, it's not what are we going to do, it's what we're not going to do. And we're going to start with not paying our mortgage, not paying our credit card bill.
And how soon will this be couched in terms like equity and inclusion? That's all these people know.
I did see a great line. Someone had said, "What does the Chinese spy balloon identify as?"
Yeah,
which I thought was pretty good.
Are these? Are they illegal aliens coming to the Earth?
Well, if they're illegal aliens, we'll give them a driver's license.
And they can vote as much as they want.
I hope they don't ruin us before the golf show.
Let's coming up quick.
Give us a week.
I want to get the golf show in.
Yeah.
We need about 10 days there.
We're there February 24th. It runs the
what a
24th
segue.
through Sunday the 26th at the Minneapolis Convention Center. It's the Choice Bank Minnesota Golf Show. Fast approaching.
Did you hear that, Choice Bank?
Hold off there, Nana.
Joe does not want the world to come to an end before next Friday.
We're gonna have live broadcasts or podcasts, and then of course what you get there, all the accessories for golf, the clubs, the fittings, the clothing, golf balls, tees, you name it, golf gloves. I always load up on golf gloves, and you can win $100,000. Take that putting chance, courtesy of Nelson Marine, to get that putting chance. And tickets are $12. Now listen to this. This is the biggest part of this. For $12, you get a ticket, and you get 14 free rounds of golf this summer from TwinCitiesGolf.com. That's valued at nearly $500.
Wow.
That's plus you get a coupon for $20 off at PGA Tour Superstore. Buy your tickets today at MinnesotaGolfShow.com. Get the $12 ticket, and you get damn near $500 worth of rounds.
Woo!
It's presented by Choice Bank, and thanks in part to Nelson Marine, of course, Waggle Golf, X-Golf Minnesota, Lift Bridge Brewing Company, and your select Buick GMC dealers, MinnesotaGolfShow.com.
You've heard me discuss my relationship with Josh Arnold for some time. The reason I advocate that you give Josh a call is simple. Trust and results. Josh has seen it all when it comes to economic and market conditions. As has been said, through all of our relationship, past results do not guarantee future returns. And while that is true, Josh can make sure that your retirement objectives match your investments. You can understand that Josh will make sure you are not paying more in fees than you are seeing in returns. Yes, that is more common than you would like to think. Do yourself a favor and have a booking with Josh for the 48-minute free evaluation. This is a no-obligation meeting. Call Josh at 952-925-5608. You will be glad that you did.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Patrick Royce is a paid endorser.
Truth, justice,
Play some
and the
Dylan
suzerain.
stuff today.
That's what this is.
Oh,
This is a Dylan story.
Mechanics in a can. First, I started talking about the first mechanic, decided you needed a second mechanic, and now I think I've added a third mechanic. Number one is the Seafoam engine treatment. That keeps your motor running and starting like a champ, cleaning up the deposits, lubricating all those moving parts. The Deep Creep, that does everything. Lubes, protects, penetrates, rejuvenates, gets rid of the water, keeps it out, keeps everything working top-notch, including your firearms. Keep a can ready when you're cleaning gun. The third one, the Tranny Tune.
Cleaning gun?
cleaning gun.
Are you done? The Tranny Tune, another can of magic in a can. Dump some in to clean, protect, and help keep the shifting parts shifting. A local company available all over the globe. Wonderful, wonderful products. Seafoam.
The other thing I was going to say about the unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
What if a large spaceship, let's just for the sake of argument, let's call it cylindrical.
Okay.
No, let's call it disc. A big disc hovered over the United States.
Okay. It paused.
It paused. I'm being very serious here because I believe that whatever's out there, they're capable of doing whatever they want to do. And so it covered the entire United States and cast it in shadow. And it was, 10 feet off. Well, you have to factor in the Rocky Mountains and all that. But it's right there.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe they talk to us, maybe they don't. I don't know. This is a very serious question. Would that shake some sense into this country in terms of knocking this country off the path it's on to ruin? Would it shake people to their senses to realize what we've been worried about is just so silly to worry about? Would this reform the failed academy? Would this reform anybody on the third rail? You don't think so?
That's why they're poo-pooing this and keeping it secret and acting dumb. I think you just nailed it.
Really?
Don't think about what you just said. That makes all the sense in the world.
But put your mind in the mindset of the typical euphorian, though. Your first comeback would then be, how is the government going to be able to help me here? How is the government going to protect us?
That's fine, but Joe was... I'm referring to the people in charge.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring
to. Okay.
Would this shake them to their core and make them realize they've been on the wrong path, telling us to be worried about pronouns and what have you?
I still think it wouldn't.
Boy, it would shake me up.
Well, of course, because we're rational thinking people.
I would find it fascinating. Now, I can't claim that as of this moment I'm terribly fearful about any prospect of this. What do I care? I think this would be so fascinating, and then I would be harboring this desire that it would straighten us out. And maybe
just grab the attention where we could not avoid it.
Maybe they're coming to straighten us out.
Possibly.
Do you think, though, for every science fiction, story you ever see is that this makes people go, okay, I guess we were wrong about religion. I guess we were wrong about God.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it'd have any effect on that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
And that's my question. Would the presence of this hard to grasp phenomenon change the direction that this country's on, which is taking it right to complete failure? This country is declining before our very eyes. Culturally, economically, spiritually, every way you can think of, this country is in horrible decline.
My point, though, is spiritually, wouldn't it cause more of a decline? In that you if you believe so strongly in that faith system, you might go, oh, well, okay, forget this God stuff. We got aliens, we got people on a million planets.
I haven't gotten to that part of the thinking yet.
Okay, well, that's just kind of the old sci-fi, one of the cliches.
Speaking of that, there was a couple of Jesus ads on the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They're paid for by the Hobby Lobby Group.
Yeah. And they have been running all season during NFL games.
And basically, I can't find anything to be grousing about. Don't they just basically, aren't they saying, let's everybody get along
all
here?
Are welcome here.
Be kind to each other?
That's the message.
Well, AOC, of course, is terribly upset.
Oh, they're stunned.
She said... something tells me Jesus would not spend millions of dollars on Super Bowl ads to make fascism look benign. Why are the ads fascism? Is it fascism to say be kind to each other?
Doesn't this prove your point that nothing will make people like her change their opinion?
Plus Jesus didn't spend the money occasional. Hobby Lobby did. She's responding to a Christian ad campaign called He Gets Us. Didn't I just say whatever it is Lizzo gets?
Yes.
Well, whatever we are, apparently Christ gets. And if Hobby Lobby wants to spend their money this way, it doesn't bother me. What am I missing something?
Not missing anything.
It's funded by the family, Hobby Lobby. I said that. And it's a multi-million-dollar campaign. They had 2 ads yesterday, and apparently this divides the viewers. Occasional Cortex took fault with the bent of the ads, one of which showed scenes of protesters on the right and on the left fighting over issues like pandemic lockdowns. Conservative and liberal commentators grilled the Congresswoman for labeling the ad campaign as pro-fascism. So even liberal political commentators have joined conservative commentators in wondering what the hell you mean, lady.
No, they just hate Jesus.
Pardon? Yeah.
They hate Jesus. That's what it is.
Leo Ziemba, a former football player for Auburn, offered a summary of Occasional Cortex's logic. Love your enemy equates to fascism, Zimbia asked, tweeting a crying, laughing emoji. You're brilliant, he wrote. Attorney Eric Owen said that Occasional Cortex was missing the entire point. That's your take from a great Super Bowl ad reminding us of the truth universal to all religions and all wisdom that hate is bad, Owen said. Are you serious? You have jumped the shark. Presumably an intern is writing your tweets while you wear a fancy dress to a Super Bowl ball. Are you a theologian now? What can you do? Another user asked. Well, again, I don't want to read this because all we're doing is quoting people who are tweeting, for Christ's sake.
Well, that's what I was going to say, based upon what you had brought up earlier, Joe. Read that thread of what she tweeted out.
I'm not going to.
But what I'm saying is it gives you a glimpse as to what we were talking about. There is no hope.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just turns into people bickering with one another, which I get, but...
I guess I'll stop there. She got herself another bit of attention for finding the ads disagreeable. I saw them, and I thought, I wonder what's going on here. But that's about the only thought I gave to it. I didn't think that we were being taken over by national Christianity or anything of that sort.
Can you imagine the likes of her could find out information, top secret information on UFOs and aliens before the rest of us?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that completely bleeping stupid.
It's a shame that we're governed the way we are because we're facing something now that's very real,
maybe
very strange.
Maybe that's why all these classified documents are all over the place. We got to hide it from everybody.
No, can I give you my once and for all take on classified documents?
Give me the documents. Let's go.
There's just too damn many of them. Don't classify everything.
Right.
I just solved your problem.
Okay.
Where'd we find the latest batch? We got a new
Pence
batch?
have a bunch in his place?
Yeah, Pence had
I think
some
Pence
over.
had some out in the shed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're classifying too many documents.
I just take
and
that
the
home with
Chinese
you.
is finding stuff out anyway.
Yeah.
Now they're going to balloons.
They got balloons for that.
I mean, love that.
I wish, well, I want to do one more thing before we get to John.
Okay.
Did you see the footage shot from the ground of the cylinder that went over silently?
I did not.
That was then followed by 2 fighter jets?
Is this the one shot down over Lake Huron or up in the Yukon?
I think this one is Canada. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's Huron. But it was eerie. It was so eerie that I found the piece unbelievable. Because this big garbage barrel went over.
Was it flaming?
No. It wasn't making any noise.
It had some feminine qualities,
It had
but it wasn't
no
flaming.
evidence of propulsion.
No, it's got to be fake. I had to be looking at a fake.
Apparently you weren't. But that's another thing we got going for us. What's real and what's fake?
No, that's part of the problem.
You got
here.
Chat GPT can give you a poem in 10 seconds about something it doesn't know anything about.
Remind me, who is John Kirby? Isn't he?
He's a Pentagon spokesman, isn't he?
The fact that these objects could have and likely did at some point in their path transit over, potential military sites of ours or sensitive.
Oh, so.
And the pilots chasing it said that whatever they were chasing interfered with their instrumentation. And their,
okay. Well, that's good to know. Other than that,
well, it makes everything that we've been talking about seem inconsequential. This needs to be gotten to the bottom of.
Well, thankfully, we have the people in charge to get to the bottom
That's
of it.
my point. We don't. These are morons.
I agree.
He is the coordinator for strategic communications at the National Security Council for the White House.
Ooh, he's in charge of strategery.
He's been quoted a lot over the weekend.
Yeah.
There's a baker in Oakland who died.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was all over the news. She was a California social justice activist.
Okay.
She was killed in a robbery. And her name is Jen Angel. She's 48 years old. She died on Thursday as a result of injuries sustained days earlier during a violent robbery in Oakland. And family and friends of Jen Angel have urged authorities not to pursue traditional prosecution against anyone charged with crimes causing her death due to the decedent's support of social justice in opposition to state violence. What? So she had herself convinced that jail is nothing more than state violence.
Wow.
So Angel's family and friends published an open letter on the day of her death, relaying their assessment of her philosophical and political views. She was a social justice activist and anarchist opposed to state-sanctioned violence via incarceration of convicted criminals. The outpouring of support and care for Jen, her family and friends, and the values she held dear is a resounding demonstration of the response to harm that Jen believed in. Community members relying on one another, leading with love, centering the needs of the most vulnerable, and not resorting to vengeance and inflicting more harm. So her people don't want anything to happen. Some carjackers grabbed her purse, and she went to retrieve the purse, and they dragged her, and she suffered head injuries that she died from. And it says here, if this is from the Daily Mail, but I'll tell you why I'm reading from the Daily Mail, and I'm going to tell you about other sites. If the Oakland Police Department does not make an arrest in this case, the family is committed. Oh, I'm sorry. If the Oakland Police Department does make an arrest in this case, the family is committed to pursuing all available alternatives to traditional prosecution, such as restorative justice. Jen's family and close friends ask that the media respect this request and carry forward the story of her life with celebration and clarity about the world she aimed to build. Jen's family and friends ask that stories referencing Jen's life do not use her legacy of care and community to further inflame narratives of fear, hatred, and vengeance, nor to advance putting public resources into policing, incarceration, or other state violence that perpetuates the cycles of violence that resulted in this tragedy. Okay. She was leaving her parking spot, and the car ran into her. Okay. When you go to other sites to confirm this story, I went to CBS in San Francisco, I went to San Francisco Chronicle, and they all have the story, but none of them mention that she's a crackpot.
They just conveniently left that out.
Yeah, she was a well-loved member of the community, had a nice little bakery, and she was injured fatally in attempting to retrieve her purse following a car crashing into the parking space where she was. And nowhere in what we might call conventional news gathering sites do you get any information that she was off her rocker. Because in my estimation, she's off her rocker.
Right.
Clearly. She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to prosecute anybody or.
Your Honor, permission to approach the bench.
Yes.
Remember.
But do I have to take this into chambers?
It's up to you.
All right.
Just take it under advisement currently. Remember a few years ago on this show, we had coined the phrase, "This is why Trump got elected." I think a new one needs to be coined. This is why we're in trouble. Because this family is that delusional. They do not want the criminals who killed their relative, one of their own, they don't want them prosecuted. This is why we're in trouble.
We saw this attitude early on after the riots in Minneapolis when all the homeless moved into Powderhorn Park and all the crime that was going on at the duplexes and apartments around the park. And the people who were on the receiving end of the crime refused to press charges.
I think what's interesting, there's two things interesting about this. One, conventional news gatherers cut this woman a lot of slack by not telling the readers what an idiot she was. And two, her friends and family they must believe that her view, her ideology is valid because they say, we don't want to pursue traditional things. We have our own traditions, and that is to forgive and to forget and practice restorative justice. But that isn't how we work. You commit a crime in this country. It's rapidly ending, by the way. But you commit a crime in this country, and there is a price to pay. And this woman's worldview is there should not be a price to pay.
No, is it disenfranchised?
Whatever. But the likes of her disenfranchise us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And put us at harm. Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
So there's really no winning here.
Joe, I don't want to argue with you, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to.
Yeah.
There's every story I'm going to tells what an idiot she was.
How about San Francisco Chronicle?
I'm reading it right now.
What's it say? That I'm sorry I missed it.
It says friends who knew her not just as esteemed blah blah blah, also community organizer and punk journalist, said her lifelong commitment to restorative justice, she would not have wanted those responsible if they're found to be imprisoned. That doesn't say she's an idiot, but it does say she's an idiot.
Yeah.
But I don't think you'd want the writer.
I didn't catch that.
Where do we get the term?
I didn't catch it on the CBS coverage either. I'm
Well,
sure it was there.
there's three more paragraphs about how she felt about not pursuing charges against people who.
Well, her family and the rest of them, God love them, they're going to get what they deserve. They're going to get more carjackings.
Exactly.
Where does the term "off her rocker" come from? What does that literally mean?
Grandma fell out of her chair.
I don't have to look it up.
Yeah,
I'm on it. I'm on it.
Okay.
I am on it.
Off her rocker. I mean, it's a great phrase, and it describes that. Okay, something's not right, but
meaning.
Her worldview is that a criminal is only put in jail because of fear, hatred, and vengeance.
Yeah.
No, you're put in jail because you broke a law.
Yeah.
And you harmed an innocent person. And in this case, Jennifer Angel, you were the innocent person. And your family apparently is loyal to your beliefs, and they don't want to pursue this.
I'm sure those criminals are really thankful.
Very thankful
that you've forgiven them.
They can do this again now.
Yeah,
the expression originated near the end of the 1800s. Off is a common beginning to expressions signaling mental problems. In some cases, one might simply say, something about him seems off.
Right.
The reason for rocker appearing in the expression is unclear. Some sources speculate that it is possible that it refers to a rocking chair.
Right.
In popular culture, older people are commonly depicted in rocking chairs.
That's right.
Older people are also susceptible to dementia. Therefore, someone off his rocker might mean an old person who fell off the rocking chair.
That's right.
Due to unusual behavior.
Well, there you have it.
Wow. All right.
She's off her rocker.
I feel like I learned something.
Yeah.
Also acceptable is off one's trolley.
She's off her trolley.
Means that the trolley lost contact with the wire and lost its power.
That sounds very European.
I'm sorry you're dead, Angel. But you're not a helpful human being in life or death, unfortunately. And that's a shame because you're no longer here to see the light. And you escaped just before the aliens might have shown you the light.
How are we supposed to act like her life matters when she doesn't even care that her life matters?
Right.
Hey, I did a little more research. That footage I saw was completely fake. It's been disproven, so thank goodness for that.
Yeah, but the shooting down of an object is real.
That's real, but I've been worried here for the last 8 hours.
Yeah. Well, maybe you'll brighten up a little.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I kind of do too.
Not today.
Say our friends at Eckberg Lammers can help you. They're an estate planning firm.
If you're off your rocker.
Right.
Well, here's the way to say that.
Right. Bring it in.
Before you go off your
There
rocker,
we go.
Yes.
Better stated.
you want to contact the lawyers at Eckberg Lammers and have them put together an estate plan for you. So then, when you're off your rocker, your family doesn't have to go around and say that idiot, before he got off his rocker, he didn't do anything. No, before you go off your rocker, you go to Eckberg Lammers and you get it taken care of because you don't want the government involved in your estate. And I don't care how old you are. Get this done. It keeps all your accomplishments, your belongings, and your ownership of things in order and away from the courts and distributed to your family the way you intend. They also help small businesses with their transition. You got property that's trying to be transferred in the family. That can often become contentious. They prevent that. They take care of children, old people, grandparents. It's a great, great thing to do. And snowbirds. You got all kinds of tax issues because of your various residences.
6 months in a day, right?
Well, they'll take care of that. They've been around for a long time. Bloomington, Stillwater, and Hudson, Wisconsin. It's a very important service to get done. I'm starting to get emails from people who are saying, thanks for telling us about Eckberg Lammers, because we need to get this taken care of. And we need to get it taken care of before Dad goes off his rocker. Right. So call Eckberg Lammers for estate planning. And don't be afraid of the word estate. That doesn't mean that you're unimaginably wealthy. It means everything you have should be protected from the likes of these morons who are running this country or this state or this city. Call Eckberg Lammers at 651-439-2878 or visit Eckberg Lammers at eckberglammers.com.
You know, the ability to communicate and process language, so critical for the healthy development of children. Ages birth to 9 is particularly important time for a child to acquire language so that they may learn to process information. And you know how we like to do a lot of imagining, on this program? Well, imagine that you are the parent of a young child who struggles to communicate. They can't tell you what you need. They can't tell you they love you. Now imagine that you are that child. You struggle to connect with others because you're unable to communicate. Imagine how frustrating that would be. Now imagine there's a place in Minnesota where you can go to help overcome these challenges. And I'm so glad they're here on Garage Logic. How about this? Now imagine that it's completely free of charge. The Minnesota Masonic Children's Clinic for Communication Disorders in Duluth, Minnesota, turns those imagines into reality. And it is all provided free of charge because of the generosity of the Masons of Minnesota and their many generous supporters there's a whole bunch of garage logicians. I'm getting emails left and right. So imagine that, and then go to visit them at mnmasoniccharities.org. That's mnmasoniccharities.org. Click on services and look for the Minnesota Masonic Children's Clinic for more information. They do really good work, but you know what? The secret's getting out. MinnesotaMasonicCharities.org.
Joe Souchere, the keeper of common sense.
Here's this, is it John Kirby?
Yes, sir.
NSA spokesman. This is within the last 30 minutes.
The president also instructed the intelligence community to take a broad look at the phenomenon of unidentified aerial objects. Indeed, President Biden conducted the first ever daily intelligence briefing session devoted to this phenomenon back in June of 2021. He was briefed that this is not just an issue for the United States, but one for the rest of the world. And as I said, our friends and our partners are dealing with this as well. We worked on a bipartisan basis to stand up an office at the Pentagon to study this, in partnership with the intelligence community, academic institutions, and the private sector. These unidentified aerial phenomena have been reported for many years without explanation or deep examination by the government. President Biden has changed all that. We are finally trying to understand them better. Now, in light of the Chinese balloon program and this recent incursion into our airspace, the United States and Canada, through NORAD, have been more closely scrutinizing that airspace, including enhancing our radar capabilities, which, as the commander of NORTHCOM and NORAD, General Van Herk, said just last night, may at least partially explain the increase in the objects that have been detected. Slow-moving objects at high altitude with a small radar cross-section are difficult to detect on radar. Even objects the size of the Chinese spy balloon, which had a payload the size of roughly 3 school buses, were not picked up by previous administrations or other countries. We also know that a range of entities, including countries, companies, research, and academic organizations, operate objects at these altitudes for purposes that are not nefarious at all, including scientific research. That said, because we have not yet been able to definitively assess what these most recent objects are, We acted out of an abundance of caution to protect the security.
All right, thank you.
Our security, our interest.
Thank you.
And flight safety.
That was the end of the clip. I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know if you know what I'm going to say. The second object, which would have been the Yukon shoot down, that was described to us as the size of a small car. Mm-hmm. You recall that, everybody?
I do.
Yeah,
And
sure.
I thought to myself, well, that's dreadful that you can't come up with it. What
Electric?
car?
Electric car?
Well, no, small car. That's what, a little Fiat? Or what is it?
An SUV?
What do you mean a small car?
Right.
Why does that make a difference?
But it bothered me.
Well, but this
I want
one,
precise information.
This one, he said 3 school buses.
That was the balloon.
69
sorry.
DeVille, Such. A 69 DeVille.
Was not a small car.
Not a small car.
Not a small car.
That in itself is a football field.
Okay, I missed what I thought you were going to say. They're taking credit for this.
Yeah.
Like, this is some achievement for this administration.
Well, you know what else they're doing? They're admitting that, well, to tell you the truth, we haven't really been looking for this stuff, but now that we're looking for it, we're finding it.
to say that NORAD, well, okay, that's fine, but it was all over social media from people's personal.
Okay.
Prior to this, what they knew about NORAD is that's where you went to get the Santa Claus tracking.
Thank you. Yeah.
So if you've been on social media and you've been watching this, what do you guys think about the theory that this is just government propaganda to distract us from what's happening in Ohio?
Yeah.
Oh, the shiny object off in the corner.
And Ohio's had a rail accident that's involving the poisonous release of
We got cows dropping all over the
dreadful
place.
toxins, and now we have animals dying. And I don't know. I don't base my following anything on social media, so I don't know what they're saying.
Gotcha.
Copy that.
Here's John Heidt in his newsroom.
I was hoping for your opinion on their opinion.
Kenny's got a
No,
point.
I don't think it's to distract us. I think whatever's going on is happening in spite of the government, and the government doesn't know what to do about it.
That makes more sense, yeah.
Here's John.
Thank you, Joe. This news update brought to you by Air Mechanical. Since 1985, Air Mechanical has served the Twin Cities for their heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs, and they can also help you out with drain cleaning, duct cleaning, and indoor air quality. They serve the entire metro area. From general maintenance to full installation, they got you covered. Furnace installs, boilers, heat pumps, garage heaters, and lots more. Air Mechanical employs top-trained tradespeople in the state of Minnesota, and they operate with full integrity. They do things the right way, not the easy way. Their Total Solutions membership is like having Air Mechanical on retainer. Keep all of your home maintenance needs in one comprehensive membership. Select one tune-up a year and enjoy benefits like discounted maintenance, repairs, service, and equipment costs. Catch problems before they arise and keep your home's mechanical running smoothly. We'd love it if you gave Air Mechanical a shout for any heating, cooling, plumbing, or electrical needs. Call or book online at thinkami.com. That's thinkami.com. In the news, at least 2 officers are on leave and a man is dead after an officer-involved shooting in St. Paul on Saturday night. One officer deployed a taser, another shot and killed a man that police say advanced on them with a knife, according to St. Paul Police Public Information Officer Sergeant Mike Ernster. Police wouldn't clarify how many officers were involved beyond the statement that multiple officers who were present are on administrative leave. The incident started when St. Paul police were called to Winslow Commons, an affordable housing complex for seniors and people with disabilities on the 100 block of Western Avenue South. Officers were told a man in the community room was threatening people with a knife, according to Ernster. The State Patrol has identified the 4 people involved in a fatal wrong-way crash that happened around 8:15 in the morning, Sunday, in Cottage Grove. Early State Patrol information indicates 95-year-old Julia Ann Bild of Cottage Grove drove her car south in the northbound lanes of Highway 61, and that resulted in a head-on collision with an SUV carrying 3 people. Bild died at the scene, as did one passenger in the SUV, 32-year-old Tanya Ann Mott of Lakeville. The driver and other passenger of the SUV, who are both residents of Prescott, Wisconsin, were treated at Regents Hospital for injuries that are described as not life-threatening.
So 95 years old, huh?
That's correct.
Tragic. They didn't get to her quickly enough to take Mom's keys away, did they?
Guess not. Because it's really not that confusing down there on 61 in that area.
It can be if you're 95.
Okay.
Off your rocker.
Yeah, off your rocker.
Yeah.
St. Paul Public Schools is reaching out to future teachers to show them what a career in education could look like. The district hosted a teacher prep fair on Saturday to try and help fill up some large need for teachers in the district.
Is this an act of desperation? Because when I read it this morning, that's exactly what I thought of.
10 colleges and universities, 4 community colleges, and other organizations were at the event Saturday, showing off their education programs. The teacher shortage reaches farther than just St. Paul. A state report shows that nearly 90% of the school districts here in the state report being either somewhat significantly or very significantly affected by a staffing shortage. Almost 25% of those holding a teaching license right now in Minnesota aren't teaching. Officials say one of the biggest staffing needs in St. Paul is more special ed teachers.
Is that the true, Rook? Is it just desperation at this point?
I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see a less quality. Yes.
Wow. So just like everything else, that's a shame. Well, clearly we just need to spend more money on education. It'll solve this problem.
Right.
I think so.
Star Tribune reporting travel up in the Highway 10 area of Anoka will start getting tough again soon. It was horrible last year. That'll happen again with construction starting as early as March if the weather cooperates, said agency spokesperson Kent Bernard. And after the second half of the $98 million project gets underway, drivers, like last year, can expect 6 months of traffic backups as the highway is squeezed down to one lane in each direction for more than 2 miles between 7th and Thurston Avenue.
Is this where you go around the bend there and there's a big McDonald's there and it's where 10 goes up north?
Yes.
It's in Anoka from basically the river up to, what did you say, Sunfish?
Yeah, you make it up there, Joe, once in a while?
Try to, but I don't want to go that way now.
If you took the turn right before that, you'd be almost at my house. You'd come visit me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've been very careful in keeping people away. So
right.
Yeah, you can all come visit whenever you want. Yeah. Chris comes to visit me.
I do.
Yeah, Chris does.
MnDOT I got a question for you. If you came to your house, could you avoid that traffic delay?
Yes.
And go a different way then?
Sure. You'd go up if you went up Round Lake and then you took a left on Bunker. You could just cruise out.
Then rejoin 10 at some point.
About if you go on Bunker maybe 2-3 miles, take a left.
We'll work this out, John. Thank you.
Get on 47 and stay on 47.
Where's that end up?
That ends up there somewhere.
Oh,
well, but the interchange there,
I think on the east side of Mille Lacs, doesn't it? Isn't that where it comes out?
That doesn't help me.
See now, Kenny, the biggest disruption this year will be the Highway 10, 47, 169.
Oh,
interchange.
so that's right at you don't want that.
You'll be driving right into it. They'll have that closed.
So well, Joe, whatever you do, don't take 47. That's a bad option. I don't know who told you that, but 65. You could take 65 and then take 47 over to Elk River.
Sure. Yeah. MnDOT will be hosting a drop-in open house from 5:30 to 7:30 Wednesday.
Actually, it's not 47. It's Viking Boulevard. I'm sorry.
Oh, Jesus. Golf and
do you want me to write these down for you, Joe? I'll write these down and put them in an envelope and send them to you.
You could take 94 just up to Big Lake and cut over.
Yep. You could do that.
I'm just going to stay home.
Or Clearwater, or St. Cloud even.
Let's not worry about it right now any further.
Moving right along. A U.S. fighter jet, as we've been talking about, shot down an unidentified object over Lake Huron on Sunday on orders from the president. The fourth such downing in 8 days and the latest military strike in an extraordinary chain of events over U.S. airspace that Pentagon officials believe has no peacetime precedent. Part of the reason for the repeated shootdowns is a heightened alert following a spy balloon from China that emerged over airspace 2 weeks ago. That, according to Glenn Van Herrick, he's a general, head of NORAD in U.S. Northern Command. He told reporters that in a briefing. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz tweeted airmen in the 148th Fighter Wing, an Air National Guard fighter unit in Duluth, shot down the object over Lake Huron. Meanwhile, China alleged that the U.S. has flown high-altitude balloons through its airspace more than 10 times since the start of 2022. Well, U.S. officials say that is not true. Adrienne Watson's a spokeswoman for the U.S. National Security Council. She said any claim that the U.S. government operates surveillance balloons over the PRC is false. It's just the latest example of China scrambling to do damage control.
Yeah, we don't send out balloons. We already know everything.
Balloons don't do it for me.
What do you want? You want James Bond stuff?
I want objects.
You want something?
Yeah.
Cement.
I want acorn-shaped stuff.
Okay.
1 week
this
after
bill, which shows that this Tea Party Congress will make the tough choice to keep children's birthday parties on schedule and give industries that rely on helium the lift that they deserve.
I get it.
Imagine, Mr. Speaker, a world without balloons. How can we make sure that the injustice of there being no helium for comedians to get that high-pitched voice that
is this
we
real?
all
This isn't real.
hold near and dear to our hearts?
This is Saturday
Imagine a
Night Live.
world without balloons. And finally, we're going to do something for the American people, and we should all pat ourselves on the back for that.
Now, when you pat
Come
yourself on the back, you must not pat too hard, because your hand could possibly go through someone's shoulder.
Okay.
And if
keep working on
your
it.
hand goes through someone's shoulder,
Yeah.
they will bleed
That's right.
and bleed until you stop the bleeding. Mr. Speaker, we must stop the bleeding. Thank you.
Thank you.
I yield the balance of my time.
You got the pacing down. I'd like to know someday, not today, what Hank thinks of what these unidentified objects.
Yes, Joe. Hank will work on it.
What? Why were they talking about helium?
I think
Must have
There
been
was
a
a helium shortage.
like last
Oh,
2 years
yeah.
ago.
Helium
right,
shortage.
there
What
was.
about the comedians?
a couple years ago, there was a shortage.
Waka
of some
waka.
kind.
That comedians with their high-pitched voices.
Voices. 1 week after that earthquake hit Turkey and Syria, a severe shortage of tents, housing, and medical supplies is imperiling relief efforts and posing new dangers to survivors, many of them injured or living outdoors in extreme cold. The death toll now has passed 35,000.
It's going to hit 45,000.
Yeah, there's 1 million people in Turkey left homeless already, according to the Turkish government. One of the most urgent needs, temporary shelter for the homeless in Turkey. And that temporary shelter is in short supply.
Wow, what a catastrophe.
U.S. has told its citizens to leave Russia immediately due to the
would.
war in Ukraine and risk of arbitrary arrest or harassment by Russian law enforcement agencies. In a statement, the U.S. Embassy in Moscow said U.S. citizens residing or traveling in Russia should depart immediately, exercise increased caution due to the risk of wrongful detentions. Do not travel in Russia. The U.S. has repeatedly warned its citizens to leave Russia. The last such public warning was in September after President Vladimir Putin ordered that partial mobilization. Final report produced by an Atlanta area special grand jury investigating efforts by President Trump and his allies to overturn Trump's 2020 election laws in Georgia will remain mostly sealed as a local prosecutor considers charges in the case. A judge ruled this morning, but Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robin McBurney said in an order released today that he will make public 3 sections of the grand jury report, including the panel's introduction and the conclusion to its findings, as well as a section in which the grand jury discusses its concern that some witnesses for the former president may have lied under oath during their testimony.
How do you, Trump, even though the establishment hates him, he enjoys the privileges of the third rail. And how do you like that third rail? Nothing will ever come of this, ever. We've been saying that since day one. Nothing will ever come of this. And that's because it's the third rail. We ordinary citizens who
Us
pay the
peons.
freight, as
Yeah.
peons, we don't enjoy that kind of privilege.
No.
These people can get away with anything they want, and nothing will ever come of it.
Well,
nothing.
the third rail and criminals in San Francisco.
Right.
Yeah.
Fulton County, if it makes you feel any better, Joe, the district attorney here says charges are imminent.
I
as
don't
part of-
believe it.
part of
Even
this
if
case.
even if the charges are imminent, nothing will come of it. Nothing.
We'll see what happens.
We're not going to see what happens because nothing will happen.
I try to think, but nothing happens.
What's happening?
We have a music death. This one, I'm guessing Kenny may be about as familiar as anybody.
Yeah, R.I.P. Dave.
Yeah, David Jolicoeur of De La Soul.
De La.
Rap trio. De La. What did I
Yeah.
say? De La
Yeah.
Soul. Rap trio that expanded the stylistic vocabulary of hip hop in the late 80s and 90s with eclectic samples and offbeat humor. Died on Sunday. He was 54 years old. No cause of death given, but in recent years, Jolicoeur has openly discussed a struggle with congestive heart failure. De La Soul arrived with the album 3 Feet High and Rising in 1989.
Wow.
They were a little different. A lot of groups then were confrontational, Public Enemy, NWA, but De La Soul, not really. They were 3 middle-class young men from Long Island, presented themselves with hippie floral designs and a music video set in a high school for their song Me, Myself, and I. His original stage name was Trugoy the Dove, although he was just known as Plug 2, Dove, and later just Dave. That album had some big singles, including Say No Go and I Know, which I know only because it sampled Peg from Steely Dan.
Yeah.
Reached as high as 24 on the Billboard 200 chart, but was an instant classic that pointed to new directions in hip-hop. They did sample a lot of stuff without
This is way too much information.
Oh, no, Joe. He did great rhymes, great flow.
You know what else that fat guy in the devil suit did last night?
Wonderful lyrics that you can sing along with. You're really missing out on this one, Such.
All right.
They did have a problem in that they sampled a lot of stuff without getting permission. That caused some legal problems. In fact, as an example, the Turtles song you showed me was sampled by them. Turtles sued. The case settled out of court with De La Soul paying a lot of money.
The Turtles, man, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Is that Mrs. Brown?
Is that Eddie Flo and Eddie? And
I can't think
Flo
of
and
any.
Eddie, yes.
I can't think of any angry rhymes or songs they had.
I like turtles.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Mrs. Brown? You've got a lovely daughter.
That fat guy in the devil suit last night lip synced everything.
Why do they do that? Why doesn't somebody have the guts to just give us what your correct status is?
Whoever in the NFL hired that fat guy in the devil suit,
I would stop.
They should fire that person.
Okay. Well, you know that oftentimes the entertainer is not paid.
I understand, but she wasn't worth free.
I agree. I did not enjoy the show.
I didn't enjoy it either, but boy, it was sure mixed sampling on social media. Some loved her, some hated her.
Yeah,
what was to love?
I don't get
some
the
were
people
like
that really
some
like.
were like me. They just went didn't love or hate.
Lip sync. Half the time she was still mouthing words and a microphone was extended away from her mouth.
Yep.
Joe, she's a warrior. She was up there on stage all knocked up and gross with child.
Knocked up.
Oh, my God.
Stomping out a couple of numbers.
So let me see. Joe called her fat. Kenny said she's knocked up.
Rookie kept his mouth shut.
Yeah.
She's a warrior, Such. Come on, man.
I have an AI story here that involves music, Joe, since you were talking about AI. Chart-topping DJ Dave Guetta has said the future of music is in AI after he used the technology to add a vocal in the style of Eminem to a recent song. He used 2 artificial intelligence sites to create lyrics and a rap in the style of Eminem for a live show. He said he would not do that commercially and release it as a record, but he thinks musicians will use AI as a tool to create new sounds in the future because, in his words, every new music style comes from new technology. As he said, there'd been no rock and roll if there was no electric guitar. There would be no acid house without the Roland TB-303 bass synthesizer or the Roland TR-909 drum machine, and no hip-hop without samplers. He said, I think really AI might define new musical styles. Yeah. Every new musical style comes from the technology.
How do you think Eminem feels about him appearing on stage with this clown and not getting the credit for it? I mean, aren't we opening up a whole new Pandora's box here?
It was Eminem's style, Kenny. I don't think it was actually Eminem.
You know, many celebrities who are not actors are just naturals. Taylor Swift does a credit card commercial.
That's pretty good.
Sure.
She's just a natural.
Yeah.
Dave Grohl did a Canadian Club.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
And he's a natural.
That was pretty good.
Tiger Woods is a natural. A lot of these people are they're just born to it. And
I think I'm a natural.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Dave Grohl clip with Pharrell Williams?
No.
In which he's basically saying, I'm an awful drummer and I've ripped everything off in my career.
Oh, I did see that.
It's really good.
Yeah, he's not an awful drummer.
But he said he can't read music.
It's from a couple of years ago.
Oh, is it really? I thought it was recent.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he was referring to disco beats.
Yeah, and it was the Gap Band, right? Wasn't it the Gap Band? Well, that's he cited the Gap Band in it.
Maybe we
I
should
have no idea.
go down roads.
Naturals. There's some of them are naturals. That's the only point I was trying
Back
to
to
make.
Joe's
I like the
point.
naturals.
Yeah.
U2 is returning to the
natural.
U2 is returning to the concert stage later this year for the first time since 2019, but they will be missing one original member, Larry Mullen Jr. He's on the injured list. He's, of course, the drummer of the band. He has some issues with his neck and elbows, and he needed surgery. Only twice before has the band taken stage without all 4 members, once when Adam Clayton missed a gig in Australia for health reasons and after Mullen broke his foot in a motorcycle accident in 1978. Mullen will be replaced in Las Vegas by Dutch drummer Bram Vandenberg.
I don't like that. Why not wait for Mullen to get healed?
Got to make the money, man. We're getting old.
Make it while it's there.
When are they coming here, Johnny?
I don't know that they are. I have no idea.
Oh. Joe, you want to go?
They're just reprising old hits, aren't they?
Well, it's actually a Vegas thing. Here, hang on. I got it in the story.
Joe, do you want to go so you can leave halfway through again?
No.
Okay.
They'll play a series of shows this fall to open the new MSG Sphere venue in Las Vegas. So they're not, as of now, they're not going out on
That's
tour.
a money
Can
grab.
he dress up for the show and just sit on the bench so he gets paid at least?
You would think so.
You know,
Kenny.
like an extra
There's
goalie.
Larry.
It's like having 2 goalies. You know?
Yeah, right. He's the backup drummer.
The concerts will be focused on the 1991 album Achtung.
Oh, that might be worth seeing.
Yeah.
He'll get paid anyway. Aren't they all salaried? I mean, that's always.
I'm sure it's
I
all
saw it.
contractually arranged.
Pretty sure I
sure
saw
that's
those hoople heads at Target Center.
I saw him at the the outdoor stadium.
TCF.
Football stadium.
I saw him at Target Center.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen him.
New Jersey has a message, or had a message, for drivers who might be thinking of hitting the road while under the influence of marijuana.
John, who was the warm-up act? Was it Boss Tones? Mighty Mighty Boss Tones?
Not when I saw him, I don't think. I don't remember, to be truthful.
Because I somehow ended up backstage at that show, and I'm trying to figure out how that happened.
I don't
You were so drunk you just started walking.
No,
You
I
were
think
arrested.
a friend of mine knows the guys in the Boss Tones, and I think we got dragged backstage by them, I think.
This
That's
would have been
very
in the
interesting.
late 90s, Kenny.
Yeah.
Between 95 and 98.
Yeah.
In that general area.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they were the opening act. I don't remember that, though.
Huh.
But
All
you know,
right.
I'm old, though, so there's a lot of things I don't remember.
Right.
The electronic signs on the highway. I didn't know they were controversial, but apparently they are to the federal government. New Jersey likes to use funny messages on theirs, like, "Will be blunt, don't drive high." Get it?
I think I do.
Minnesota does the same thing.
Yeah, and another one that says, "Hold on to your butts," BUTTS, help prevent forest fires.
Right.
New Jersey evoked native son Bruce Springsteen with "Slow down, this ain't Thunder Road." But the federal government doesn't like that.
Of course
They
not.
want serious messages.
Of course they do.
The
Like
administration
lane closed.
administration
Right to
responding
the point.
It is.
responded to New Jersey's efforts at humor with a warning that said you should cease and desist. Robert J. Clark is the head of the federal agency's New Jersey division. He listed reasons the state should stop with the humor. In a letter to state highway officials, he wrote that using highway signs for such messages does not, quote, promote the safe and efficient use of the roadway, does not serve a highway purpose, is inconsistent with both law and regulations, and increases the liability risk to the owner of the roadway facility.
So be boring and lame.
So I liken it to every day when we do the show descriptions. You know, Joe will say, we had the Democrats were really mad today, so this is what we did.
Pretty dry.
Wouldn't you, if Rookie picks his butt during the show and farts, that would be
I've long
attractive to
been
me.
a proponent of that.
I would want to do that.
State Patrol, they always said, it's very important before leaving for your destination that you secure your load. It's important that you ensure a secure connection on all your straps. Kenny goes, hey, Hooplehead, strap down your crap, okay?
Boom.
Yeah.
Okay.
John, thank
Solve
you.
that problem. Damn it.
John, thank you.
I can't do this every day, guys.
Yeah.
Why don't you take it away?
Okay.
He does.
I know. I barely do.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
Holy crap, it's the 13th. It's the day before, Matthew. The day before.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Suckers.
Fool. Shut up, fool. Shut up, fool. Tell me what you're pushing.
You better get up to Maple Grove, T. Check out the Liberty safes. All that gold you wear, you need a place to put it. These things made in the good old US of A. Best fire protection in the business. Transferable lifetime warranties. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, my neck just snapped. It made a funny noise, but I'm okay.
Oh, okay. That's good.
I'm okay.
I'm glad everything's fine. And, of course, professional delivery and installation also available, courtesy Rich at Maple Grove Lock and Safe. This big sale Rich is having almost over. Save up to $300 on the Colonial and USA series of safes by Liberty. Give the gift of security so when calamity comes your way, you are protected. You can find your Liberty safe at Maple Grove Lock and Safe, 6901 East Fish Lake Road, and, of course, on the web, maplegrovelockandsafe.com.
May I ask a personal question?
You may.
Hit it.
Kenny,
what?
I doubt the sincerity with your concern about Joe during your live read.
Yeah.
You didn't hide it well.
Kelsey alerted me to this. I've got a doozy here that really does tell us it's over and we've lost and there's no winning. Come on, aliens. Now woke biologists claim systemic racism is driving animals out of poor ethnic neighborhoods.
Systemic racism is doing
in
this.
favor of wealthier white neighborhoods.
Okay.
Scientists claim that there are fewer wild animals in neighborhoods where mostly people of color live, and their absence is affecting residents' mental health.
What? Oh, my God.
A research study, of course, you got to have a study, that looked into the genetic diversity of wildlife in neighborhoods across the U.S. found government rules that previously mandated separated neighborhoods based on race was still having lingering after effects where animals chose to live decades on. See?
Wow.
So there's, if you're
systemic racism.
Areas with less diversity could also have negative effects on mental and physical health of the people who live in such deprived neighborhoods. The findings were published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, a peer-reviewed scientific journal.
So they've got some checks and balances.
It noted that the practice of redlining drove out woodland creatures.
Redlining? Mm-hmm. I don't know what that is.
So there's nothing you can't find that isn't racist. There's nothing you can't find that isn't causing discomfort.
Redlining is was keeping black people out of white neighborhoods.
Got it.
And then apparently the animals went with the whites.
I've known black people in every neighborhood that I've lived in.
So have
okay.
And see, John doesn't believe me, but I say racial harmony was better 60 years ago than it is today.
You know, someday I'm going to just start talking and we're going to have a whole show on this.
You know, if you want to move that up to 2015, I'd listen. But 60 years ago, no.
Okay, 2015. I'll go with 2015.
Yeah,
we were better in 2015 than you are today.
I would say we were doing a hell of a lot better on a yearly basis before all of this went down.
Okay, I'll give you the date. I believe racial relations and harmony was better than in 2007 than it is today.
Why
I believe
7?
it began to go downhill in 2008.
Because that was, okay.
Because we had a president who didn't do a damn thing to bolster harmony. He only was divisive.
How about the one that followed him? How about him?
W?
How'd he do?
W?
No, he's talking about Trump.
One that followed
that
him.
moron. No. I don't want to read this.
It's a whole show.
I don't want to read this. Squirrels now are, if you got squirrels and your black friend doesn't, that's because you're racist.
Yeah,
what if it's a white squirrel?
What if I have a black squirrel? And I do, by the way. What if I have a black squirrel?
What? I think you have a very diverse.
Hey, you know what I'm hearing? You know what I'm hearing?
The clothes music?
Owls. I'm hearing owls.
Did the study say anything about the amount of concrete and just buildings and no green space?
No, I'm sure that's part
trees,
of it. Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, I just was looking all this up, and Kenny, you're right. There's,
When are you
done
up to hearing
studies about
owls?
all that.
At
It's
night?
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I'm hearing owls.
In the city?
Yes.
Over there on, where you're on
Maine.
7th?
On Maine.
Only because they come to us all the way from Marloth Park in Mpumalanga, South Africa, from the Traveling Lymans at worldwidewaftage.com.
You know what would be
Quite
fun?
a few items today.
It'd be fun if one of Such's neighbors got some chickens, including a rooster. How awesome would it be?
You know what
if
would happen
Such
then?
had to listen to a rooster all
goodness.
day, every day.
He wouldn't even need an alarm clock.
Our neighbors have chickens.
Do they have a rooster, though?
What?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
And then
they
every
need a
morning
rooster.
at sunrise, you would hear,
Alan! 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 Alan!
On this day,
I'm posting that.
what
today.
is that filed under? What is that? A YouTube video?
It's
of
yeah.
wildlife.
Basically, it's
what's that word when you attach human characteristics to animals? There's a word for that. None of you idiots would know it, but there's a word for that.
Humanology.
Humanoid.
Humanology.
Yep, that's what happens.
No, it's something.
Trojan horse.
No. I don't want to do that one.
Nope.
Let's do this one.
One less.
The horseman thing, whatever that's called. Man, horse. Man,
what is that
berry.
called? There's a name.
Oh,
for
there's
that.
a name for
I
it.
don't know a bear.
Yeah, the front is a
Anthropomorphize?
man and the
So
back
you're
is a
getting closer.
horse.
Anthro-
Mr. Ed. It's like Mr. Ed back there.
Anthropomorphing
Something like
means
that.
attributing human qualities to
Thank you.
non-human things.
Thank you.
Centaur, Kenny, is the horse human thing.
Centaur.
What did Napoleon make in...
Spaghetti.
Oh, it was a liger. It was a liger.
Yeah,
That's
it was
right.
a tiger mixed with a lion.
On this day in 1909,
February 13th. Wow.
I'm skipping a few of them.
One day before.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Sucker!
President Theodore Roosevelt established Superior National Forest. 6 weeks later, Ontario's government responds in kind by creating Quetico Provincial Forest Reserve. Exploitative practices are restricted in these areas, thereby preserving the beauty of lakes and trees for future generations.
Wonderful.
On this day in 1918,
213.
Patty Berg was born in Minneapolis.
Oh.
She was a consummate golfer, member of the World Golf Hall of Fame. She won the U.S. Women's Open in 1946, and she claimed victory in seven Western Open tournaments and 4 title holders championships.
Nice.
On this, I think she was an all-around athlete, by the way. I think she was very good at whatever she tried.
Oh.
On this day in 1933, Leanne Chin was born. What did you just say?
Nothing. I said nothing. That was nonverbal communication.
Leanne Chin was born in Canton, China. She immigrated to the U.S. in 1956 and opened her first restaurant in Minnetonka's Bonaventure Shopping Mall in 1980. Today, her chain of Chin's Asia Fresh restaurants specializes in Asian fusion.
I like Leanne Chin. I like the
I don't want to know.
Yes,
I don't
I
care.
do.
Jack Daniels chicken, I think.
I don't know that's true. In 1976, on this
All
day,
right.
February 13th.
more than 400 bookbinders in the Twin Cities area went on strike against the Quality Park, Minnesota Heinrich, McKay, and Tension Envelope companies.
Oh, those krauts.
That's Harvey McKay's deal. After a bargaining session fails to resolve differences about a new contract, including a disagreement about a cost of living clause, the striking members of the Graphic Arts International Union settled with all of their employers 2 months later. I don't know why that made this day in history. It's terribly uninteresting.
Yeah.
But there you have it.
There it
I skipped
is.
a couple, but it was,
Well, these
back
are the
in
ones that made the cut.
These made the cut.
Huh. Funny how that happened.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I did not know Leanne Chin started here.
On this day in 1857,
Well, going backwards.
Isanti County was created and named for the eastern group of Dakota. The Izaniathi dwellers at the knives camp, literally. They live on knives. the Izananthe are the Mid-Metawankton, Sisseton, Wapaton, and Wapakut brands. Wapakuti bands.
Isn't Wapakuta?
See, that's why I didn't do that one.
Because of the spelling and the pronunciation.
Wakpakuti.
Kenny, does Isanti make the cut for the Nunya, Minnesota?
Where is that? I was just trying to figure that out. Western.
Right above me.
Santi is pretty.
Oh, it is?
It's going to be a close one on the division
That's what I was
of the
wondering.
states.
Yeah.
Oh, it's way down there.
Yeah.
Huh. Probably not. Screw you people in Isanti County. We don't like you anyway.
Wow.
You can all go to hell.
He rules with an iron fist.
Such, I was up in Thief River Falls and Roseau over the weekend.
Minding your own business?
The land there is so flat.
How flat
is it?
That when you're driving by, you can't tell if you're going by a field or a lake.
Oh,
really?
Way too much sky up there. Way too much sky.
Yeah.
You got to do something about all that sky up there, folks.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Home of the Thief River Prowlers and the Roseau Rams.
Also the home of Arctic Cat.
Arctic Cat
Why were you up
and
there?
Polaris Industries.
Why were you up there?
Why else would a guy go to the snowmobile capital of Minnesota?
You bought a new sled,
Falls,
didn't you?
Greenbush, Warren,
Oh, you just went
Roseau.
sledding.
Yeah, races. There are
Yeah.
a bunch of races up there over the weekend.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to Jean-Claude Van Damme and all the other crackerjack government employees we have that are going to nurse us through this alien invasion.
We will get through this crisis
We'll
together.
get through it together, won't we?
One Minnesota.
I wish they'd land at the Knack Hardware and Lounge. The boys could come out and kick tires.
All I can say is, take me to your leader. Isn't that what the aliens say?
Yeah.
Take me to your leader.
Nanu.
Who'd you take them to if they came to you and said, take me to your leader? Who would you bring them to?
I'd bring him right over here.
To Joe?
Right over to I'd bring him to his house.
It'd be fun to bring him to that guy that thinks the island's going to tip over.
Yeah.
Hank Johnson, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, hello, aliens.
Yeah, you're not a
I don't
professional.
have
Do
all
the
the
sign off as Hank. Garage Logic.
Do we have time?
Yeah,
No.
we got nothing but time.
If you have time, you can go
Deeper
to
voice.
garagelogic.com and find all things that have to do with logic in the garage. Was that well put or not?
I'm hearing Rick from Harlingen.
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 Rick from